I was born Aaron Terence Hughes in the year 1974, and I grew up in Whitecross, Cornwall. Here I am looking for ambergris. I took an interest in perfumery from the age of 4, but I didn't know what ambergris was, and I didn't know where the sea was at that time, but I was adamant of making ambergris in a bucket. This was my first year in school, and I remember taking my dad's fragrance at the time and applying it, and that's why I'm on my own away from people, because I smelled fantastic and the other children smelled of shit and vomit. This is my 9th birthday, and this is my girlfriend, Felicity. And as you can see, I'm wearing the fragrance of the time, which was Curious by YSL. It was so strong, it blew the candles out. I had a fantastic time with her, and it was wonderful. She wore Chanel No. 5. So my mother and father never gave me pocket money and told me to work. So I used to cut people's lawns with a rusty old lawnmower from about the age of 8 or 9, which is really good child maintenance, letting your child run around with blades for £1. I used to get £1 for cutting people's grass. From this, I used to go to the shop in Penzance that sold witchcrafty things and essential oils, and I used to spend my money on essential oils. And my first essential oils I used to buy were patchouli, ylang ylang, sandalwood, patchouli, and patchouli, which patchouli to this day is my favorite thing. I grew up in a chicken and flower farm, so the flowers that we had growing up are emblazoned upon my memory. Beautiful colours and beautiful scents. I was given £1 to bunch them up and then sell them. But I can still remember, even now, some summers when in Cornwall when it was very bright, hot, and running through the flowers with my friends because I was obviously very naughty and not doing my job properly. We also had a chicken farm. I loved the chickens. My favourite chicken was called Goldie, and to this day, I absolutely love her. I can remember the smell of her, the dust, the feathers, and the earth. And our chickens were lesbians because we bought them a cockerel, and they killed the cockerel, and then 2 female chickens became like the head lesbians and started mounting each other, which I didn't know chickens could particularly do that, but that was what we had: lesbian chickens and a flower farm. My favourite chicken was called Goldie. Not only was she a lesbian, but she was also a psychic chicken. She told me that my purpose was to be a perfumer. My name's Aaron. Welcome to Infinite Darkness. How are you? And thank you for traveling. I'm fantastic and I'm doing really well. And tonight, this is a really fantastic event and I hope you're ready. I want to take you on a journey through a perfumer's mind, which is a little bit of an odd place in space and time. And I thought it'd be fantastic to commission a film, which is the first time we've done this, and this is a proper thing. This is not me messing around with a camera and puppets. So we commissioned the film, Noir, in Manchester, and then it was also filmed in LA. And it was edited, and the music was composed and everything in LA, and it's a proper thing. So I would like to say this film is rated U for unicorn, so it's highly offensive. So what I like to say is if you are of a nature that gets anxious and scared, we have a nurse upstairs to give you an emergency bed bath, and we have a therapist, and then we also have a safe space if you'd like to talk about your thoughts and feelings. But I'd like to introduce Noir. Does anyone need a cold flannel? No? Okay, great. So within the Noir fragrance, I create fragrance specifically sometimes for music or people. For example, when I mentioned this before, when I created Whore, it was because I smelt a group of girls in the middle of winter wearing hardly anything at all, smelling of bubble gum and looking like whores, so I created Whore. Kind of very literal. Noir is different. I wanted to create a storyboard in my head of a concept and then have it filmed. And so that's what we did this time. So the fragrance of Noir is based around Vanilla Absolute, Tonka, and Mimosa. And we are utilizing the most expensive absolutes in the industry, and I kind of wanted to show you why. So we're going to talk about some compounds. So we're going to start with vanilla. Vanilla comes from Madagascar. Vanilla is extracted, and it takes about 6 months. They wash it, dry it, solvent extract it, and then they further extract it. And I'm going to show you this because I thought this was incredibly interesting, and you might too. So here we have a chromatogram. This comes from our GCMS machine, which we have, and we have 3 types of vanilla. This is the vanilla we use. This is Firmenich vanilla. And this is a vanilla that I bought off the internet. I just bought, they said it was very expensive, Vanilla Absolute, and I wanted to see if it was expensive. So we have this peak here is vanillin. This peak here is isovanillin, which is not what you want. It is the isomer of vanillin. So this is the most expensive vanilla on the market. As you can see, they all contain vanillin. So the reason between why we use Vanilla Absolute and vanillin, which is perfumers use to create a vanilla accord, is this compound here. It's a compound called Divanol, and Divanol gives a boozy quality. So within Vanilla Absolute, we have Divanol, which is used in Divana, and Divana is used massively within rum and alcoholic accords. So here is, and this peak here contains a great amount of Divanol. These are compounds that are in lavender actually and citrus. This peak here is an absolute mess, and this means it's just junk chucked together. And the reason why the most expensive compound, the most expensive Vanilla Absolute are expensive is because it's nice and clean. This is just junk. So you don't want this, and this is long-chain fatty acids, and this means it's not been extracted properly or it's just been rushed. And this is really expensive, so I would not suggest buying for people who actually are interested in the art of perfumery or who buy raw materials or who are perfumers. I would go to reputable companies because this was expensive and just junk. I wouldn't be very interested in that store, and there is an absolute difference. So this is the actual Vanilla Absolute, and it's very expensive. The one we have, I'll give you a direct price, this is £10,000 a kilogram. This is, I think, between £7,000 or £8,000 a kilogram, and it's just because that little bit there. This, I cannot remember, I bought 10 mil or 2.5 mil, and it was like a couple of £100. I mean, it was really crazy, and I thought, oh my God, this is like very intense because it smelled cluttered and it looked different. And I think this would be better for food, actually. So on to the next compound. We have Tonka. And Tonka is used in the Noir connection massively. So Tonka it looks like this little bean, and I love a little Tonka nut, and it's used in food and vodka, as I found out last night, and it's herbaceous, and it's used in Latin and South America, and it grows initially in Brazil and then also in Latin America, in Venezuela. Harvested, and it takes 25 kilograms of these to make 1 kilogram of the Absolute, and it's highly purified. So it's 25 kilograms, and to get to the purification stage takes 25 kilograms. This is another raw material which looks, for the quality, you get a different effect. And actually, the better quality Tonka is solid at room temperature, looks kind of crystalline. The poorer quality one looks more like sludge. So I'm going to be showing you the chromatogram. So here we have coumarin, which you can buy, which is white crystalline. And this represents between the really, really good quality Tonka, you get about 22% coumarin. The poor quality ones, you get about 2 or 3%. And these compounds, again, are wood-like raw materials. And again, divanol was found. But these are all compounds that are found in sandalwood. So you get a sandalwood, boozy quality to it. And it's very, very different to coumarin. Coumarin just smells of Tonka. But Tonka Absolute smells, again, boozy, food-like, and sandalwood-like as well, with a bit of sort of citrus. And when we're talking about dry down, this would be the dry down that we would get from Tonka. We get the initial spike of coumarin, and it dries down to wood, and a little peak there. These are all sort of lavender there's a lavender compound in it as well. So moving on to Noir pour femme, and this was an absolute bitch. So this, last year, we had a rep come round and she said, I would really love you to work with Mimosa. And I'd never worked with Mimosa. I didn't even know what Mimosa was at that time. I thought, oh God, what is this? And she said, well, if you take 100 grams from us, we'll give you a discount. I was like, okay, I'll take 100 grams for you. And I've been informed that, so Mimosa originally started in Australia and it moved to Asia, and then it's in warm Mediterranean climates. It grows on trees, as you can see. It flowers for between 3 and 4 months a year, and it's extracted from the tree, solvent extracted, and then you get, and this looks like solid, it looks like honey, actually, really solid honey. And this was really, really challenging because in the Noir series, I wanted to work with vanilla absolutes and I wanted to work with mimosa. And I was going to get this into a fragrance if it was the last thing I was absolutely going to do. And it took a year. And I'm very, very annoyed with it because it just smelled really horrible to begin with, and I kept putting it down. So mimosa is given in Italy on the Day of the Woman. Is that right, Eleonora? The Day of the Woman? I keep getting this wrong. She'll beat me if I get this wrong. So it's given on the Day of the Woman or Women's Day or something like that. And I'm going to show you this, which I think is the most outrageous thing. This is the Mimosa Absolute we use. This is Mimosa that I bought off the internet. You can see the peaks correspond. So we can say these peaks here, we can say, because you have to obviously look at a reference. This is Mimosa that I bought off the internet that said it's Mimosa Absolute. And I had to get 3 members of staff to check because I kind of thought I was misreading it. I honestly thought, oh my God, you're going mad. When you smelt it, I thought, this is not Mimosa Absolute at all. This is a synthetic fragrance. I had to get 3 members of staff to look at the site. I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to be sued again. And I was like, this is not Mimosa. Can they check? And the 3 members of staff that are sat here verified that they are selling Mimosa Absolute. And this is expensive stuff. We're not talking £1 or £2. We're talking £50 up for 2.5 mil. We're talking expensive. Now, I knew from smelling it Absolute was synthetic. So you can see on the GCMS it is much further down, and when a compound is further down this way, it's more volatile, and as you go up, as the temperature increases, you have less volatile compounds generally in the same space and time. Here, and this I actually found really exciting, I felt like, oh my God, I've kind of felt something outrageous. I'm going to contact trading standards, which I'm not. So here we have patchouli, with patchouli alcohol actually, and we have lots of synthetic. These are all synthetic raw materials, and I believe one of these is kind of a bit of cedarwood. So they're using a little bit of citrus, a little bit of patchouli, a little bit of cedarwood, like really small amounts, and the rest of it is synthetic compounds, and they've stacked it with, this is made, I believe, and I was looking, where do they look for it? You have to name when you're selling it. This is made in India, and they're using here, I think it's this one, this peak. This is, they're using a solvent I have never heard of. I had to Google what it was, never come across it before. It's prohibited in Europe, but obviously you can use some raw materials. In other parts of the world, they're particularly safe. So here, they're using a prohibited raw material, and lots of propylene glycol, lots of solvents, and I thought this was crazy. I read a lot of their comments was, oh, I liked applying this to my skin. I smelled really nice. I was like, oh, I wouldn't even put this anywhere near me. I mean, it's got some not very nice compounds in it. So this, I thought, was absolutely outrageous, and I wanted to share it with you because it's kind of the worst thing I've ever seen. So this is the Mimosas. I can't remember the price. Very, very expensive compound, very difficult to work with, very challenging, and I'm really, really happy because I managed to construct it with the Vanilla Absolute, with the Mimosa, and we're going to go into the notes in a minute. But the reason why I'm showing you this is because smaller companies, which you're all supporting, are able to buy the most expensive absolutes because we're not selling in volume. So the difference between the massive companies, where they buy from Firmenich in huge amounts and the price is massively reduced. And there's also different qualities that you're buying. We buy absolutely the best quality, and the majority of our money goes on the most expensive compounds I can absolutely get my hands on. I'm obsessed by good quality. So we're going to talk about the Infinite Darkness collection, and then I'm going to talk about how it connects with the film. So we have a couple of really exciting things, and some of this is really hard work. So we have the Infinite Darkness collection, and we have Legend Noir, Noir Elixir, Requiem, which we've released, and Noir Pour Femme. And that was the bitch that these two took the longest. Noir took me 2 years, and I kept putting down, getting very, very annoyed. And Noir Pour Femme took me about a year. I think I got the Mimosa last year. So we have Requiem, which we released, and we have Vanilla Absolute, and we have Myrrh Absolute. And Myrrh Absolute is quite difficult to utilize. It's not a particularly pleasant compound, I don't think. It's much easier to do a Myrrh accord, which is what the large companies do. Benzoin cedarwood, different top notes, and I'd like to point you to the Civet. So Civet, it actually is Civet Absolute, and it's humane Civet, and we have found a company that gets the Civet Absolute from the trees, so there's not farmed animals, the animals are not cruelly treated, and we can only get a limited supply every year. It's quite tricky, and I've had to sign things to secure that we're going to buy a certain amount. And I'd like to say again really clearly that we're not using farmed animals. We did all our due diligence with this, and this was very, very difficult to find, and we had to do a lot of hard work for that. So when I said that we were going back to my roots of the darkness, it is taking the original darkness which I used to work with and updating it to make it more, I don't think I was described as designer, which I don't think is particularly bad, because that means it's super wearable. So we're going to move on to Numero Dos, which is Noir Elixir, which was the easiest all of them to construct for me. So if you haven't used an Elixir before, or an Atta, it comes out like this, and the color is from Vanilla Absolute. And you can take a little bit out, it's got a wand, and then you can apply it to your skin. Somebody said, why doesn't it have a top note? And perfume, there is no rules in perfumery. You don't have to, you kind of had set structure of how to build stuff, and then you can break the rules. And that's how new perfumes get designed all the time. So you don't have to have a top note. This has been designed to wear on the skin and radiate off. This fragrance has been designed to wear in very intimate areas, not that intimate, around the neck, on the chest, and as you radiate off, it gives you that very sensual, boozy sex scent. And with this, it's good to boost the performance of underperforming vanilla or oriental-based fragrances. So if you have a fragrance that you love that's oriental or vanilla, and you're not getting performance from this absolutely fixes it. Numero tres, this absolute monstrous bitch. And it took, I think, about 2 years of working on it, putting it down, coming back, being very, very frustrated, very annoyed. And this was insanely difficult because you're constantly balancing in perfumery longevity, substantiality against projection and lift. And when you're working with very, very heavy compounds such as sandalwood, incense, tonka, and oud in this as well, and you don't want it to smell synthetic, so you don't want to get massive lift in the synthetic where you want it to smell natural, almost impossible. And I kind of gave up quite a few times, very frustrated. So this here, we have black pepper, which is different, proper neroli, and a saffron accord, because I tried saffron, it didn't work, so it's a saffron accord. But it isn't a tobacco forward fragrance, it's just a really beautiful, spicy, woody, and again, we're utilizing vanilla and tonka oud, and then we've got the Civet Absolute, which turns this very naughty. Lastly, we've got another one, Noir pour Femme. So this was the one that we nearly didn't release, and we have the key to this working was the burnt sugar and the blackberry. And again, it's got the amber and the vanilla absolute. It's been swapped around, and it acts as a top note. So this is very strong. This is really radiant. And this, I wanted to create a youthful, female leading fragrance. I have actually worn this. I don't think it's particularly female leading, but kind of whatever. Elegant, clean, but it should be kind of, I always think the best women's scents are ones where she looks like she's very sophisticated, but she's not wearing anything underneath. And this whole range is like all to do with like, it's beautiful to start with and turns absolutely filthy. And then you can actually layer all of this with the Absolute. And then we're gonna go on to the last one, which is Legend Noir. We have the Vanilla Absolute, and I'm using the Firminish Vanilla Absolute in this, and that's how we're able to use absolutes and quite expensive things within more of a people who are conscious of their money way. So we're still utilizing the raw materials. And this is taking the Legend DNA, and we're adding incense, vanilla, apple, and a lot of lavender. And I really like this. I think this is so easy to wear, very, very easy. It's the £30 fragrance. We're not doing any magic trickery.